mileage down, and you fill up and you're ready to roll the next day.
They have self-standard logbooks or something like that, because
It's in there,
we had to, we dealt with buses at the school, and I thought that same thing, you had a logbook in there, you're supposed to do your inspection and check off and make sure,
But
all the
don't
stuff
the
was
people
okay.
that run the 10-wheelers and the dump trucks also have to have a logbook that they've checked, have a list of things to check? They should be if they're paying a tax into the state at the end of, at the end of 3 months, don't they go?
No. Municipal governments are exempt.
Well, it doesn't mean they have to be exempt from the paperwork. I mean, paperwork for the town accountability.
We run untaxed fuel.
I know you do. But at the end of, 3 months, what was really interesting is, our trucks, we're running 4.5 miles a gallon. If all of a sudden you saw a spike or something was low, it's like, okay, what's going on? Somebody forgot to put. So you're right on it all the time.
So that's concerning doing the same thing every day, hauling oil, correct?
Right, versus...
Okay, some days we're hauling gravel, some days we're putting in culverts and it's sitting there and it's
idling.
idling.
Yeah.
So you have another column that's, gravel,
Says what you're
culverts.
doing.
Or in the wintertime when we're plowing, if we get 2 miles to the gallon sometimes, we're probably doing good. All uphill, you're running chains, and you've got a full load of sand and a plow and a wing that you're pushing.
Yeah. But I don't disagree that having more data about how we're spending money, I think that's a good thing. As long as it's not onerous, as long as we're not asking these guys to spend more of their day filling out paperwork than they are actually doing anything. If it's a couple minutes, then, which it's going to be, it's probably not a bad idea to do it. And that's the great thing about it. If you put it in place, you don't invest a lot of time in filling out the paperwork, you get some data out of it, you can then look at it and say, okay, is the data worth doing? Is what we're getting out of this worth what we're putting in? And sometimes we're going to say, yes, it absolutely is, and sometimes we're going to say no. Hence our time tracking system, which we did not feel was worth the money. But that doesn't mean...
I love my side trips to Woodstock all the time.
That's great. We are not opposed in that case. We're just not opposed to tracking how people are spending their day. We were strictly opposed to the method in which we were capturing that data. So, okay. Any other old business?
Yeah.
How do we can't get past old business.
I asked you how long you wanted to stay.
Go ahead.
See our flow chart up here?
Yes.
They have the selectmen responsible on the flow chart for friendly meals.
With a dashed line or a
Yeah.
dotted line?
And I suggest to you that friendly meals really shouldn't even be on the Alstead governance flow chart. Shouldn't be there.
Yeah, we don't have...
We have no control of
I'm
it.
not sure what they were trying to signify there.
I'm not even.
Maybe it was a liaison, but
Yeah. It could have been a
Well, they
liaison.
have them the same, for instance, as Violet's Pool, and we do have some control of Violet's Pool, but we have no control.
We have a level of oversight, but we do not have a level of oversight with friendly meals.
Well, they use town resources, so
That could have been what it
and
was.
the town pays for.
Well, it's a contribution, though. It's not necessarily a responsibility. It's more of a.
It's become that way, though. That's why they're in town report.
I can't hear that.
Saying it's become that way, but
Well,
It's kind of.
sure, as far as I'm concerned, if that's a flow, org chart of the town, then I would agree that does not have a place on it. And that doesn't mean that I favor ceasing relations with
no, that's not
that at all.
Yeah.
That's just saying that if that's to be an accurate flow, org chart, then it's probably not accurate.
you ought to ask the HR committee, because we are paying bills for them.
I get that part.
I think this whole thing was brought up when they first presented it to them. I can't remember exactly what it
You
was.
got the full report.
Well, we pay the electric for the buildings that they use. We pay the propane for the gas that they use, and we pay
Fuel.
fuel to heat the building.
Are we incurring any liability because they're using these buildings?
Oh, I'm sure, but I'm
It's covered.
not, I can't answer that. I mean,
It's covered, which suggests we are.
it's more than likely, yeah. We have liability for anybody that uses it.
Right. But they routinely use it, so that's.
If you're asking if there's a separate policy.
No. I'm just trying to think out loud in terms of why they might have included it.
Yeah, that's a question for the HR.
They have pretty much sole use of the kitchen
Yeah.
thing over there.
That's where a lot of it goes over there.
So since we're on the friend of meals, has anybody thought about planning board and the land over there?
Well, we asked Mike last time he was in here, and Mike said he was gonna go walk and look at the land and come back to us, and we have not heard back
It's been
from him.
raining ever since, you probably.
Probably. Has anybody seen Mike lately? That might be a better question.
Somebody said somebody was walking it this weekend, so maybe he did.
Yeah, I'm not sure. That's kind of where we left things. When's planning board meeting?
First Monday of the month. First or second Monday of the month.
Yeah.
The second and fourth Monday of the month.
Okay, workshop is the 4th, I think.
Well, I just wanted to bring that to the
Yeah.
board's attention and we could deal with it.
I think we should talk to those guys and see what their intent was there to refresh our memory.
Who created it? Was it the,
HR.
HR committee? Yeah.
That's all I have for now.
That's it.
I'm going to,
It's all your old business?
I'm going to wait and
Good. Well, I've got 17 issues of old business here. Go ahead.
Are we ready for comment, from the
I
public?
think we are, barring any other old business. We are finally ready for public
I always
comment.
have something to say. This is kind of a request, or maybe it's just input from the group. I've been coming into the building for 2.5, 3 years maybe, and I see our flags here, and I notice when people are sworn into an office here, the flags are always in the back of the picture. And we support our veterans in town, which I support tremendously. But I've noticed on TV, last time, there was 2 meetings, 2 different towns, and the people stood up and they said the pledge allegiance to the flag. Have we gotten away from that, or can we do that? I'd like people's input on it.
I've always been curious about that myself.
I just feel like we're
Any school
losing,
board meeting, they'll
we're
stand
losing
up and
so much, and I just wanted to know if anybody had any input on that.
Yeah, it always surprised me that it wasn't ever done here either.
Could we start doing it? Would anybody?
I
agree.
think if there were ever a motion to do that by one of the selectmen, we could vote on it and make that part of our agenda.
Timothy?
I
You're a
was
veteran.
thinking we could do it exactly before we leave. We could do it just to get it started.
Get it started, or do it one time and then done with it?
Well,
Get it started.
I forget Ralph involved in it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think anybody's opposed to that.
Well, if you're both in favor of it, why don't you just make a motion to pass it, because whether it rocks here or not.
We don't need a motion to pass it.
Good. That's the next meeting, or
We will add that to our agenda.
Speaking of agendas, are you all set? Can I
I'm all
pipe in with mine? I just, the agenda had been for a period of time sporadically online, and of late it hasn't been online at all, and I know you have a problem with your password or something, but is that gonna start happening? Because
I think we can.
I think it's helpful.
Think we can do that?
Yep. I mean, I usually try to give you a heads up as far as what's come in the office.
And I think we've got our format down.
Me too.
The form, yeah.
The format's there.
Which brings me to the next question.
Yep.
And with all due respect, I can understand why you want to review correspondence and payment like in a quiet time rather than when everything's going on with discussions, but could it be done at a time when you don't have, like today, there were 10 people sitting here for 15 minutes twiddling their thumbs, because the meeting technically started at 6:30, so we were all here for the start of the meeting, only to wait until that was done. Is there a more, can you say, all right, this is when we're doing it, but if we have to interrupt things, we're going to do it at 7:45 or 8 o'clock or something, but.
I think doing it at the beginning, that's when people know that if you come here for the first 10, 15 minutes, we're likely going to be reviewing the warrant.
that's why I'm late now.
Right.
You'd be surprised how many people come to look at that stuff.
It is actually helpful that they do it in the beginning, because what's happened in the past is they're trying to manage their meetings, so a lot of some stuff hasn't been signed that Linda and I need to deal with, so I have noticed that since they take that time, everything that we put in here is done in a timely manner, so we don't have to try to play catch-up, which is what was happening last time.
Then perhaps.
So it is nice that they take the time. I know that all of you have to sit and wait.
Well, then perhaps you could go back to the agenda format that you used to use with the budget committee, where you put times on things, so that people know that there will be at least 15 minutes dedicated to this, and the meeting won't start before 6:45. Problem with coming in late is you don't know what late really, what's appropriate for late.
Right. The problem with the warrant is we don't know what the warrant's gonna look like until we get here. So, like, for example, last week, the warrant, did we sign anything?
No, maybe a
And
couple.
this time, we had, how many,
Well, hey, wait, so.
it was pay week, it was bill run week. We had lots of requests for logging permits, lots of requests for veterans exemptions and for other stuff, so we just don't know. I'm kind of reluctant. The other thing is we absolutely don't need to do this in public. It's not a requirement.
The problem is, if we're all here, we can't talk to each other about any governance in the town without the public.
Calling a meeting itself, exactly. So that's the first part. The second part that I was thinking of is, what I found good is we have been able to talk to each other during that. And what would help out is what we started to do where we were sort of round robining it. We should divide that thing up into thirds and start all at the same time. We can probably cut down on the time.
Why not put it at the end though? And then if people want to stay and look things over or talk, they can, or if not, they can get up and leave.
Because
Because we will get up and leave too.
Which is what's
Whereas the
happened
other,
in the
you're gonna
past,
be here
and we're
the same
chasing
amount
them
of
down.
time.
Yeah, because things are gonna come up in that warrant that we're gonna wanna discuss. That happens.
How about,
I agree with that.
how about the public let us run the meeting the way we want to?
Is there a second?
I did say with due respect.
Now, we're gonna try it this way, and this may not work out. We've only been doing it for a few weeks. But I personally feel there's been some benefit by it. The crowd gets a chance to calm down a little bit.
Plus, you guys seem to be more organized. I mean, it's a more organized format that you're using.
Well, you notice I come in at 6 to do it, because I can't go through that pile of bills in the time. As a matter of fact, I'll be
They'll come
coming
in
in
tomorrow.
tomorrow at 9 o'clock or whatever to finish going through the pile. Because you can't do it. It's just not possible.
All right. But point noted, we'll keep an eye on it, see if it works, see if it doesn't work. Any other comments from the public? All right.
One more thing. I just saw David's budget, but part-time is 50% almost.
Right. So we saw 40 hours a week in there for certain part-time employees. Did you see that?
Yeah.
42.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah.
So we'll fire off an email to David. I'll probably fire off an
David
email.
doesn't have it, does he?
Can you give word to David asking him to somehow respond to our question
Yes.
about why we were at 42 hours for part-time employees last week? Yeah.
Is that one employee or more than one? Is that 42 for 3 or one?
So are full-time people working overtime too?
Yeah,
There's a little bit of overtime, yeah, but not much.
yeah.
Is there, why is there any,
Why
is
should there
there
be any
at
overtime?
this point?
You have to ask David.
Why did we have overtime last week? Because it snowed.
We had that
It's
little
a
snarly-
footprint.
Yeah, we had that little snarly storm,
Yeah. That's where the overtime came from.
full-time.
Is it over 8 or over 40? Because he had 42 hours. a day.
Over 40.
Right, they're on summer hours, so they're working 4 days a week. So if the storm comes in on Friday, that's overtime.
What time do you start?
We should probably address that at
It's
some
not
point, you know.
daylight. It's not daylight at 6, well, just barely beginning to be daylight at 6. So why do summer hours start so early? Why don't summer hours start May 1st?
We've had this discussion.
Oh, I have, this is my first meeting, and I'm getting example.
No, that's okay.
We're gonna go back all the way to New England.
I will say this, that there's been an ongoing discussion about when hours should, or whether they should flip from summer to winter.
Or even if there should be some.
That's right.
Right. Or whether we should even have winters anymore, whether we should just outlaw them. But,
No snow.
yeah, town ordinance.
I can tell you this, I think Alstead is the only town that does 4 10-day, 10-hour days.
The HR committee, Akron does. Akron does because they started theirs.
Well, they gotta,
They've been talking about that.
we're on
Because
the
I
cutting edge
questioned one of
then.
the people that worked there and said, what are you doing in at that time? I said, you're not filling your potholes in Akron, so. That was kind of like.
The answer is there's been a million different opinions on this, and
We're working on it.
we're working on it. It's one of those things that, I don't know, I personally don't know what the right answer is, but
We've got so many things on our plate, we don't know which ones to do first.
we're working on it. All right, any other comments? All right, motion to adjourn.
Well, I'm going to be back. Take a picture. I'm going to get my